Welcome to New Way Health Podcast, where we dive into hot topics in the health and wellness space and we leave you with simple ways to bring them into your life. Today, we're going to discuss GLP-1s and really how health coaching drives the weight loss success and sustainability together with the GLP-1s. I'm Jennifer, and this is Emily. We're board certified and functional medicine certified health coaches. And we've got multiple specialties really centered around hormone health, genetic testing, autoimmune support, peptide support, and so much more. Why this topic matters right now, we are going to dive into that. But highlights, Emily, like why is this so important right now that we actually talk about this?
Because people are doing them and they are easy to access, and we don't want them to do it any harmful way. So we are
Yes.
here to guide and make sure that you get the results that people want safely.
Yes. And what are some of the common myths?
Mm.
Why are they
Common,
turning to them, and what are myths around this?
yeah, that it's magic, that it will do all the work for you, and that you'll just lose all of the weight that you want to lose.
Yeah, I hear that all the time too. I remember the first time I heard one of my friends actually start on a GLP-1, and it was about a full year before COVID. So let's say like 2019. And yeah, and I was just like, well, what will this do? And I had heard a little bit about peptides before that, but not much. It was just like scratching the surface. And I was like, wow. So her thought was like, it's going to just take all this weight off. It's just going to happen. So
Yep.
yeah, and I continue to hear a lot about that as well.
Yeah, and the thought that they don't have to think about food anymore. That we want to train you or change your perception about food, and that really is the key because you have to eat. We need to
Yeah.
think about food as a source of energy and nutrients. You can't just not eat anymore.
Yeah. I know I've been talking a lot about like even with my speaking, um, what is it's energy as a currency. If we think of energy as a currency, how can we get more of it? And
Yeah.
part of the equation is food and nutrition, and it's the fuel for that energy. So I love that, you brought that up right away, really, is we must eat. We need to have nutritious, nutrient-dense food. So what is I'm just curious, like the GLP, what's the do's, what's the don'ts, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, let's start off with what is a GLP and
Mm-hmm.
what are we really talking about? So we can discuss a GLP just in a vague term. We have GLPs in us naturally already,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what we're doing is considering, some people are considering injectables, injecting an exogenous GLP in their system that supports appetite suppression, that slows down the digestive system,
Mm-hmm.
that suppresses their food noise or food craving in their hypothalamus in their brain. It can also trigger some fat oxidation in the liver. So you burn fat, your energy expenditure is increased because it's activating some fat oxidation in the liver, right? So these are all the things that we're experiencing on a GLP.
Yeah. And then I would definitely want to, I love that, these are really good things. And so that's the thing, I don't want anyone listening to think that there's this feeling of we're against anything. We're actually talking about we are so for GLP-1s. We have had so much experience in the last couple of years really working with clients and doing this simultaneous working. They're using the GLP-1s and they're working with us. And it's been honestly astounding to me. It's been astounding to see the healthy relationship they build with the GLP-1. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I think that I wanted to bring that out in the forefront here in the beginning of this, of you listening, is that we're talking about doing this together. It's not one or the other, it's actually simultaneous. And so it's important for me to talk about what they don't address. What the GLP-1 does not address is your protein intake and the under eating that happens. When I first started hearing of people talking about this, I got so curious. I'm like, what is this? So that first friend that started, I was asking her a ton of questions. And then all of a sudden, more and more people, and I just became more curious, asking them their experience. And many of them were saying, like, Jen, it's great. I don't need to eat hardly anything. And I just like when I'm hungry, I just pull in through a drive-through and I just get a little bit of French fries and I'm good for a few hours. And I was just like, no, that's not good. That's so not nutritious, you know? And learning about what was happening. So really, like we've got to drive that really healthy protein. We need to make sure that we're helping you succeed with eating properly, right? So that's one big area. We also don't want you to lose muscle mass because, like, why, Emily, why is it so important to have muscle? Just in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
longevity. And it increases your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the longer you live, the more independent you are, the autonomy, and its metabolism.
Yes. And bone density. So if you're like me, postmenopausal, I mean, like we need to be thinking about this early on, like way before menopause hits, is our bone density. So really so important. The way to do that is you've got to have enough protein. You need to be lifting, right? So strength. So if you're using the GLP-1s, we're helping you to make sure that you're not having muscle loss. That is really crucial. And then managing those blood sugar swings. I love, we put so many of our clients wearing the continuous glucose monitor because it is one of the fastest ways to really dial in the nutrition for you as an individual. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, this plan works for most people and this one works for, another group of people. No, forget about that. We're customizing everything for you. And that's what we love about this. Is you're using the GLP-1s. Sometimes we have you on the continuous glucose monitor as well, just to speed track the blood sugar swings, managing it right away. And then the other part is emotional eating, which often goes hand in hand with the blood sugar swings. If you're having enough protein, every single one of my clients has said, once I up the protein, my cravings disappeared. How have you found the same thing? I'm just curious,
Oh,
Emily.
of course, right? The more protein that they ate instead of the empty carbs, they were more satiated.
Yes, it's amazing. Every person after person, they're telling me the same thing. So these things are really big. And lastly, what the GLP-1s don't address is your stress, your sleep, and just habit formation. So what we're finding is people are working, they're using the GLP-1s, they're getting a good health coach to work with them side by side on this journey. And now it's this healthy relationship so that when they're ready and they've succeeded with their weight loss and they come off the GLP-1, they are so darn proud of themselves. They're just like, I mean, standing taller, confident. I mean, it's amazing to see them, right? Do you have, I'm curious, I know one of your clients you're just so proud of, but of course, everything's confidential, but can you just share like one of your clients, some of the things you've heard them say, being
Oh,
empowered?
right. We work on not only the what you mentioned, the sleep, the empowerment around food, the capability of making the right choices when it comes to fiber and protein, avoiding the empty carbs, choosing the healthier carbs, better sleep. Their sleep is a little bit more stable because they're not waking up with blood sugar highs and lows at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But Jen, identity. When we talk about, okay, what is this bringing light to? You have all of this food noise. You're not distracted with the food and constantly just thinking about losing fat and stepping on the scale. But what do you want to do with your time?
Yeah.
And so I hear patients say, to answer your question, I hear patients saying, I now do the things that I was passionate about. I have time now and energy to get that project done. And that is an outcome that I don't think a lot of us were expecting when it
Mhm.
comes to using GLP as
I
part of a
think you're
research.
right. I would totally 100% agree. The identity, I'm so glad you brought this up because without the food noise, you
Yes.
have the clarity to think about all of this.
And you wouldn't figure that out unless you had a coach
Yes.
guiding you through that
Mhm.
curiosity and the questioning of what are you doing with your time now? What did it bring to you yesterday when you weren't snacking or
Yeah.
fighting with your food cravings for 2 hours? Coaches bring that to light.
Yes. And also building that energy. Energy again, energy is currency. Like I want every person to have it. So it's like a little tangled web with energy. Is it's not just one thing. We need to help you through this to figure out where are you depleting your energy, which could be from being around other people to
Mhm.
not exercising enough. I mean, it's so, varied. So
Yeah.
helping you figure that out so that you do have this free-flowing currency of energy and then able to do like, talk about life with purpose and meaning. You're unstoppable then with whatever you want to do and be. So I really
And
like that.
And the way that what you just mentioned, the way that you even talk to yourself when you look in the mirror and
Mhm.
patients they're obese or they don't feel good about themselves and that aura and the energy that they bring even to their mindset, that depletes energy. And when
Absolutely.
you start getting the wins and you start liking your body and your clothes fit better and you feel empowered, you will speak more kindly to yourself, which increases the momentum to keep going. And then people are just, they have more energy because of the positive self-talk.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So there's some big challenges without coaching, and it would be wrong of me not to go over this. You know what I mean? Because yes, we're talking about coaching and using the GLP-1 simultaneously, but you do have another choice. You have a choice of just using GLP-1s. And Emily and I have seen so much of this. Like I said, the first person I knew was back in 2019. So we're talking about what are we at? Almost 7 years now, right? Yeah. Did I do that right? Calculation. We're in 2026 now at the time of listening to this. So I've seen a lot of challenges, and Emily has too. And so I'm curious, we'll just go back and forth a little bit, but what's one of the things that you see when
Mm.
people don't find a good coach to help them with this?
Constipation,
Mm,
right? You get gut paralysis. It
yeah,
stops moving, which is part of the job of a GLP. And you must know how to have your bowels keep moving every single day. Constipation is not something you ignore, and I know it's common, but it's not okay.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Another one that I see a lot, especially with specialty in hormone health, is hair loss, right? If you're not eating enough, especially protein, you've got fatigue, hair loss, you're plateauing. There's people that I've helped that they're just, it's like we're working on the protein and sometimes they're like, but I don't want to eat any more food. I don't want to eat the protein. And then all of a sudden hair loss happens. I'm like, we've got to do that. So all of a sudden they start eating properly and nutrient dense food, enough protein, all of that goes away. So even in my coaching, I had that happen once and it was this resistance for whatever reason. She just was in this phase of, I don't want to eat, so I'm not going to eat because I've been told less calories is more weight loss. And that's not what we need to rethink this. We need to have a paradigm shift around this. So yeah, the hair loss, especially for women, it affects them so much that immediately they will rethink things. They're like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this the right way. What's
Yes.
another one? What's another big challenge that we see without the coaching?
Acid reflux. A lot of people have acid reflux, but it is not okay. It is a sign that your body is telling you that there is a gut dysbiosis, that there is issues with the gut microbiome, and acid reflux should not be ignored, right? We don't want gallstone issues. We don't want vomiting. We don't want people in the hospital for pancreatitis. So do not avoid acid reflux. And coaches know how to deal with acid reflux. We know really good
Yes,
tips and tricks, habits
absolutely.
to decrease acid reflux and work on the gut microbiome.
Yeah, yeah, love that. Another one, I'll bring up one more and then we'll have you bring up one more. I love this discussion because there's so many things, but we're trying to kind of hit on the highlight ones, the things that come up the most often. And I've seen this so much is the anxiety about what happens when I stop the GLP-1. There's so much anxiety there and fear of, I can't stop. Well, if I stop, I'm going to gain. And then they do stop and then they gain. Um, and this happens over and over again is this cycle of stopping, starting, stopping, starting. But here's the additional thing that I see most often, about 90% of the time, people end up getting on antidepressant medication. And I've seen this with people who are close to me as well. And it's so heartbreaking for me to see that there was such a reliance on this medication with no coaching and this feeling of, I can't do this. Why can't I do this? And then the depression starts coming in. And then before you know it, there's another medication being added on that maybe didn't need to be, right? I'm not saying it could have been outliers out there that I don't know about, but I'm seeing a lot more people who are not getting the coaching with GLP-1s end up on medications like that because this so much anxiety around it and this feeling of defeated.
And I think what you're saying also, then what coaches do well is empower
Yes.
patients. So
Yeah.
when you don't do a GLP with a coach, you're not getting that insight, the knowledge, the biology, the understanding what's really happening to my body, right? And so we empower
Yes.
the patients. We arm them with knowledge. Look, insulin matters, glucose matters, glucagon matters. These hormones matter, and we're going to teach you how to look at food as what you said, chemical molecular compounds that actually do some signaling in your body to get your body to respond. So we when patients don't have coaches, they sort of lose all of that foundational understanding of how can I work with my body at a cellular level to lose weight sustainably for the rest of my life? How can I
Yeah.
hack this body that I live in instead of relying on an injectable GLP to do it for
Yeah.
them?
And that's the difference of a healthy relationship with the GLP-1 or a not healthy relationship. These medications are out there for a reason and designed to help us. But just like any other medication, that you can even think of, it's just like whatever, high blood pressure medication, that's there for us to help us. But if we rely 100% on it and do no lifestyle changes, we don't move our bodies, we don't start eating well, we might have a continued decline potentially. So it's like we need to think about that as how are we going to look at health for our whole body. And yeah, it's incredible. Anything else you wanted to mention on any other challenges that you see?
With just the metabolism, maintaining the metabolism so you don't go, too low calories, too low protein, too low fat, too low food intake, that muscle loss, the metabolism so you don't ruin that. Coaches help, they're really good with let's maintain your metabolism, keep it up there, muscle mass, and how we bring all that together with food, exercise,
Yes.
sleep,
Yeah.
identity, stress management, supplements.
And that leads into actually just to kind of, we've mentioned a lot of this along the way, but can you recap kind of how health coaching really does support GLP-1 success, just so that we can really explain. And again, find a health coach that works for you, who the right person is for you. We're not saying it needs to be us or anything like that, but find somebody who's going to be really good for you to work with because this is making the difference. We're seeing it globally. Like this is a big deal. The people who are working with somebody versus the people who are not. But can you kind of put that up, put that in a nice little box for us, Emily?
So we talked about personalized nutrition, right? Your macros, your micros, continuous glucose monitor, wearables, Oura Ring, Garmin's, and then we also run the DNA test. So we
Yeah.
have a very personalized plan for the individual with a GLP. We hold people accountable for strength training. What types of strength training, what kind of intentional movement does that patient want to do? Lean into that swimming, walking, whatever they want to do, but we guide them, we hold them accountable, we come up with a plan to make sure that those steps are actionable and actually they do those things. Managing side effects. So we're really good at asking questions. What's going on? How are you feeling? Are you having good bowel movements every day? Are you having any acid reflux? So we really do good with the negative side effects or positive side effects, and we bring light to what's working, what's not working, and then those small behavioral changes that we work with the clients. Or are you willing to go here with the GLP, mindset, journaling, cooking, food shopping, using apps to help them figure out what ingredients are in foods? It's an opportunity to completely transform your relationship with food in all angles, not just reading the macros on the back of a protein bar, but actually reading the ingredients is key. Coaches will guide patients to do that. And teach you what am I actually eating if it has a barcode, bagged, or boxed kind of food.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That was such a good recap. I love that. And then really helping you with that long-term transition planning. Now, many times there's some things we work with, just so you know, we have so much experience with this because we work side by side with doctors. We don't prescribe GLP-1s, just to state that we work with many doctors side by side. They've hired us to do all the coaching for their patients using the GLP-1s. That's why we know a lot about this. But this is really key, is to find out how will the doctor start to bring you off of it? Will they have you maybe go on acromantia, some type of natural to just jumpstart your own GLP-1? And then we help with that long-term transition planning so that you are sustaining all the work you just did and carrying these habits forward with this new identity. So I think that's really key, is it's not just all of a sudden abruptly ending, there is a plan and we're here to help you with that. So who GLP-1 and coaching is and isn't for. What we're finding is like the best fit, people who want sustainable results, okay? It's really for people they're just like, I want to do this and do this right and kind of be done with it. You know what I mean? I don't want to go on this seesaw roller coaster ride anymore. I want to jump off the ride. I'm done with it. So I think that's really key, is like that's when you're looking at hiring a coach, like are you that person you're just done. You want the sustainable results from now on. Um, no more yo-yo dieting. You're just really done. You're off of it. You're off the hamster wheel. And then anyone who really wants to just feel good once and for all, be at their ideal, their optimal, not just lighter, not skinny, that kind of that verbiage or anything. It's actually you feeling the best you've ever felt. I think that's the key, is how you feel, not what social media tells us, or anyone else tells us. It's really locking into, how do I feel when I feel my best? What does that look like? Is it the way my clothes are fitting? Is it the size maybe? Or like, I just got into this new pair of jeans and I look amazing. This is now how I feel. This is how I feel optimal. So the building the identity helps with figuring out what that magic number possibly is, but it's not just a number on the scale. We help you to look at other metrics. And again, that could just be how you're feeling, could be you lost some weight, now your skin looks amazing, your hair looks amazing, like all sorts of things all of a sudden start happening, where you just feel great and feel that confidence. It's not a fit for if you're looking for a quick fix. If you're just looking for a quick fix, no lifestyle changes, don't hire a coach.
Jen, especially if you want to keep eating processed foods and drinking a lot of alcohol, you will be sick. You
Yeah.
will be on the toilet or vomiting a lot if you are not willing to look at some other habits like alcoholism or drinking alcohol or ultra processed foods.
And some of you listening, you might be thinking, well, who would think of that? Oh, yeah, a lot of people. There's people that we talk to, they say, no, I just want the quick fix. So I know that, you might be that person. If you want the quick fix, don't do the coaching, But yeah, we encourage you obviously to go for sustainable changes. Yeah. So Emily, How do you, I just, as a last note, how do you want to encourage people? I'm just curious.
When they get tempted to sign up for a GLP online or on the TV or they heard on the radio or whatever, you ask yourself, do I have support? Will this program provide me the tools, the resources to do it the right way? Am I set up for success, labs, body composition scans? Do I have accountability or am I just left all alone? That will make a difference
Mhm.
for their success is ask yourself questions when you go down that road of potentially spending money on a GLP.
Yeah. And I think people are starting to realize that too. There's more conversation around it as people know enough people in both sides, in both groups. Of this person had a coach, this person didn't. So it is becoming bigger. More and more people are actually getting coaches. So I'm excited about that because it's just such a healthy way to look at moving forward with your life. So yeah, I love it. If you like this episode, subscribe and share it with a friend. And you probably have already thought about maybe a friend or two that you would want to share this with. So please do that. And until next time, go out and make it a healthy day. Bye.